No one noticed the boy who sat at the back of the classroom. His clothes were always worn out, his shoes had holes, and most days he came to school hungry. His name was Eli. Eli lived with his mother in a small, leaking house at the edge of town. His father had passed away years earlier, leaving behind nothing but debt and unanswered questions. His mother worked long hours washing clothes for other people, yet it was never enough. Every morning, Eli walked to school with an empty stomach, but a full heart. He believed education was his only way out. But belief alone wasn't enough to silence the voices around him. "You're dreaming too big," classmates laughed. "School won't change anything for someone like you," a neighbor once said. Even some teachers doubted him, not because he was lazy, but because poverty had already decided his future in their minds. Still, Eli refused to give up. At night, when the house was quiet and the lamps were off to save electricity, Eli studied under the faint moonlight. He borrowed books, reused old notebooks, and practiced math problems again and again until his eyes burned. One day, things got worse. His mother fell sick. The little money they had disappeared into hospital bills. Eli stopped going to school, not because he wanted to, but because survival came first. He worked at a nearby market carrying heavy loads for customers, earning just enough to buy food. Weeks turned into months. People assumed his story had ended. But one evening, as Eli rested outside the market, he overheard a conversation about a scholarship exam for students from poor backgrounds. The exam was in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? He hadn't studied in months. He didn't even have proper books. But something inside him whispered, "Try." Every night after work, exhausted and dirty, Eli studied. Sometimes he fell asleep mid-sentence. Sometimes hunger made it hard to focus. But he kept going. The day of the exam arrived. Eli walked into the exam room wearing his worn clothes, surrounded by confident students with neat uniforms and shiny shoes. Some stared, some laughed quietly. But when the exam paper was placed on the desk, none of that mattered. He wrote, he remembered, he believed. Weeks later, a letter arrived. Eli had passed. Not just passed, he ranked among the top students. That scholarship changed everything. He returned to school. He studied harder than ever. Years later, Eli graduated, not as the poor boy, but as a symbol of perseverance. He went on to help children like himself, children who were told their dreams were too big. When someone once asked him, "What kept you going when everything was against you?" Eli smiled and said, "I refuse to let my situation decide my destination." Your background does not define your future. Persistence matters more than talent. Hard times are not the end. They are training grounds. One opportunity can change everything if you're prepared. If this story inspired you, remember, your breakthrough might be closer than you think. Subscribe for more real-life motivational stories. Like this video to support the channel. Share this story with someone who needs hope today.